Thank you again for joining me. This podcast will be dealing with the black crime rate, which has exploded over the last forever, since even my own conception and even before that. And now it is the real epidemic in American society. It is so massive now. It is snowballed into the biggest epidemic known in this country at this point in time. Many people want to deny it. They have been pushing it up under a rug, putting it in a box, ignoring it, putting their head in the sand, and we're talking about the people who see it every day, the cops, the politicians, the community leaders, the churches, and even the black community itself have totally ignored and just allowed this lawless behavior to continue to rise into astronomical problems that are not going to be easily solved, not in the next 5 years, not in the next 10 years. Not because it can't be solved in the next 5 years. It's that it'll be ignored for another 5 years. It'll be ignored for another 10 years. And nobody will even try to solve it because they're afraid of being called a racist. They're afraid of speaking out as I am right now about the problem. For many will have death threats, and many will say that it is not truth when anybody in this country, black or white, cannot deny what is actually going on with the black crime rate, not only against other races, but also against its own people. And it's really become where this younger black society has no regard for human life, and they have no regard for keeping the laws. They want to live like they want to live in total denial of the truth. The people, the black community lives in denial of the truth about their kids. They deny the truth about the music that that is attributing to the delinquency in the black community. And they want to lift up these rappers. They want to lift up these black women that are totally causing and attributing to the delinquency of even the black girls and even the black men. And it is a rampant problem, and it is spilling over into other races, and many are sick and tired of it. They're moving out of these cities. And, you know, they want to live most people want to live a peaceful life. And most people, even in the black community, does not support this rap. They don't support the gang violence. They don't support the drugs, but they live in these communities, and they just have to deal with it the best way they can, which is to ignore the problem, or they will be assaulted or even killed to speak out against these blacks that are causing all these problems within their communities. And, you know, we have come to a day and age where we can't even describe how bad our cities have gotten, and even our rural towns, even these small rural towns with only blacks in them, where crack is being sold on a daily basis to the white community, to the Mexican community, to the to the Korean and the Asian community and all this. They're selling this crack in these small communities, and the cops are in on it within these small communities. The cops are allowing the selling of methamphetamines. They are allowing the selling of guns, of illegal guns. These communities are being the crime has been the criminals are being let go on a daily basis. I mean, these black kids that are killing each other, they can kill each other and be out without even worrying about a bail or anything within a couple of days or so. And then they might go to prison, and they only go to prison for about a year or two. While if you was a white male and you killed a black man, you would be put in prison for at least 10 to 15 years, if not life, depending on if they could rule it a hate crime. And, the real hate crime that is going on is with blacks against blacks. They hate each other, and their communities are so divided on what needs to happen. A lot of blacks want their communities to be policed. They want their communities to be cleaned up. But if they speak out, their voices will be silenced by those who are allowing this behavior to continue on. And it's an epidemic. It's become such a great epidemic within our country. We have seen our country be burned down, our cities be torn apart by black criminal thugs that love to commit criminal acts of all kinds, arsons, murders, rape. All these crimes are happening, and they are being just let go. They can rob, steal, kill at this point, and nothing is being done to stop it. Nothing is being done to cause it to decline. They are allowing blacks to get away literally with murder. They can lie on a police report about being beat up by white supremacists, but they will never be locked up for it. They'll never be charged for it. They'll never go to prison for it. But let a white man lie or, cause himself to say that the black community has beat him or stolen from him, and he'll be shut up tomorrow, and they'll be calling him a racist and everything else. This whole country needs to get with the program of reality and truth of our situations, not only within our communities, but also within our cities, our states, and get into the facts that if we keep allowing blacks to rule these cities, then they are going to continue to decline into oblivion until there will be nothing left to be saved. Our country is barely salvageable as it is. They're letting millions of migrants come in here to destroy what is left that the black community has not destroyed. But the black community is destroying cities, towns. They are destroying every piece of this nation, thread by thread and tear by tear, and about 1,000 cuts. We're having cities where over 15, 20 shootings are happening on a daily basis. I just spoke to a doctor not too long ago who said his weekends are so busy because of all the violence that is happening within these cities, within these communities. And it is no longer should be undeniable about how bad the cities have become. And if we are going to take back our country, then we're going to have to start by taking back what we gave them to be responsible for, which was the communities. The black communities are not taking care of their communities. They are allowing their communities to live so hellishly, and they are allowing them to live in such poverty, such desperation, and such filth that it is no longer about allowing them to have this responsibility, this great responsibility of taking care of these cities and these towns, for they no longer care nothing about these towns. They no longer care about what is going on within these communities. They want to continue to rape and pillage these places into the ground. And, we're getting to a point where people that have the jobs that are supposed to be protecting the community are no longer protecting anything in their community. They're not protecting the people. They're not protecting the stores. They're not protecting law and order. They're not protecting anything. And even all the way up to the state attorney's offices, which are ran by blacks, the mayor's offices that are ran by blacks, are over and over again given over to another corrupt political person who steals from the people in those cities, is allowing crime to happen, to run out anybody that they feel is a threat. Right now there should be the National Guard should be called into these cities. The National Guard should be called into these states, and there should be a complete and utter shutdown and a complete and utter authority taken away from those who have been doing such damage to their communities to the point where nobody can even work in these communities without having to struggle and without having to worry about getting killed or any of the other things that are happening within these communities. I mean, we are in total free fall with the black community and the black crime rate. And we, as blacks and whites, have to start saying what is truth to get to the problem that has been happening. Because it is happening, it's been happening, and it's going to continue to happen. Because people are no longer, the people of these communities have lost control of these people that are totally abandoning what's been given to them as a responsibility, which is protecting their community from such vile and such grave conditions as these. I mean, they say they needed schools in these black communities, but the schools, once built, are totally left in peril in a very short order. In a very short order, they are left in peril. And then they say they need money to help, build their communities. You give them money, and their communities are still being ruined daily. On a daily basis, they're still being destroyed. Yeah, I mean, we have totally been put in a very bad spot. And it's not just the white community, it's all communities are reeling from this black violence that has continued to seep its way into the most rural areas, all the way up into the biggest cities. And nobody is saying anything. They're just continuing to allow and allow and allow. And now they're allowing drugs into these communities. They're allowing, the filthiest stuff to be put on the radio out of these communities. There is nothing that children or even teenagers should be listening to in these communities where total disregard for law, total disregard for order has totally been abandoned. And why are we allowing our children, the black children, the white children, to listen to such filth as they've been allowed to listen to? Not just on their, if you're an adult, you're 18 years old, you're allowed to listen. But we're putting the most, excuse my French, but the most shittiest music you could possibly put on this in these kids' lives. We're totally abandoning our ship as parents, as grandparents, as men and women who should be trying to make these strong communities. But these strong communities are being turned into a hellish path for many people now. Many people are being turned into a hellish path. And it's not fair that these people should be living in such hellish conditions and such a place of violence, and they're being totally ignored. The children in these communities are being totally ignored by the rest of society. A lot of people think that I'm against these people, but I'm really not. I want the real people to stand up that should be standing up for these communities and for these people, and not allowing such filth to be given a voice. These rappers and stuff that are rapping about all this filth should not have a voice. They shouldn't have a voice to speak. They shouldn't have a podium to speak. We shouldn't be lifting them up like they are, people that have a voice that's worth listening to, because they don't. They are attributing to the disregard in law, the disregard in police, telling people to screw the police, don't listen to the police. And then we wonder why they're getting shot. We wonder why they're getting, destroyed. And it's easy to figure out why they're getting, destroyed. It's easy to figure out why they're getting destroyed. Because the simple fact is, people are allowing their communities to be destroyed. And you know what? We're giving all this money to these communities, to these black communities. And every time we give them money, they're doing nothing with it except building bigger homes, giving it to their family and their friends, and then the rest of the community is to suffer. And this should not be the way that we allow these irresponsible adults to run their communities in such a way that causes such grief within these communities. And you know, if anybody has the responsibility to make sure that these communities are and the duties given to these communities are taken seriously, are the whites who have built these cities, built these towns, and given this responsibility over to the black community to keep these places in order, and they're not. You know, you go to the cities, the roads are in disrepair. Why? Because they're stealing all the money. They're corrupt. They're stealing all the money. They're stealing all the funds from the taxpayers in these towns. Not only that, they've took over so bad and they're so corrupt, and now they have corrupt politicians, they have corrupt mayors, they have corrupt police force, they have corrupt officers, they have corrupt people that work in the prisons are even corrupt. And they're all one color, most of them, black. There is a big epidemic in this country. Black crime in this country is an epidemic. It is on a epidemic level. They don't even name half of the crime that is being committed by blacks within the states and within the country itself. They want you to think that there's not much going on, but there is so much going on that it should be talked about. It should be blasted from the rooftops on how bad we've allowed this problem, this epidemic, to get out of control. And it is time that we start taking back these cities. And when I say we, I mean the white community needs to take back these cities and start doing some accountability, start making things to be more accountable. Things need to be accounted for. Crimes need to be accounted for. And if they're not accounted for, then somebody needs to be going to jail. Somebody needs to be going to prison. These prisons need to be looked at because there's so much corruption within these prisons, but nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's allowing corruption to rule all over. They're allowing crime to just continue to barrel out of control. And it's not fair to the rest of the community that has to live in this, what I would call filth. Live in such places that people are having to live in, where drugs and liquor stores are on every side of the street. Liquor stores should not be on every side of the street. Why do you put liquor stores on every side of the street? So that others can benefit? Why do we keep allowing drug dealers to deal drugs? You know, even in Taiwan itself, even the Taiwan government was not allowing this to go on. But it continues to go on because people keep praising this filth. They keep praising it. They keep saying it's okay. They keep saying it's all right. And it's like, it's not all right. Nothing's all right about these communities being destroyed by drugs and by corrupt people. Corrupt power. Corrupt power only causes more corruption. Corrupt power only continues to breed corruption. And when are we, as people, going to actually do something about it? When are we actually going to take it serious? I mean, it seems like to me, nobody wants to take it serious no more. Nobody's wanting to be serious about it. But we need to be, and we need to be truthful with the people in these communities that we are not going to continue tolerating this. And if they riot, then, it's kind of like what people tell you. If you bring a knife, we're going to bring a gun. You bring a gun, we're going to bring assault weapons. If you bring assault weapons, we're going to bring tanks and armor and everything that we got to break this problem. If you want to become a problem, we got solutions to break the problem. If you want to continue to allow the problem to manifest, if you want it to manifest, then you gotta just continue ignoring the problem. And that's what it's doing. That's what we've been doing, is ignoring the problem. And the more we ignore it, the less and less we are actually seeing any signs of it going away. It's not going away. It's getting worse and worse. People are getting worse and worse. And nobody is saying anything to anybody. We are just keep allowing it. And as we keep allowing it, we just continue to fall further and further downward. Our economy, even though it seems to be strong, it is still weak when it comes to the fact of how much we have allowed our communities to be overrun with such filth as we have. And I mean, it's fine. I mean, if filth is cool with you, then go live in it. But the rest of these communities are not having it. They are not having it. They don't want it. But they keep having to live in it because nobody is willing to do what needs to be done to stop it. And it's getting worse and worse as we go along down this road. We got to point out the problem. We know what the problem is. And it's not white supremacy. It is black negligence of their own people and what is going on within their communities. And what they're allowing within their communities is against the law. It should not be taking place. We should not allow all this rioting. These rioters should be put down, and they should be made an example to the rest of their community. If you want to riot in your community, we are going to come with firepower. We are going to come with authority. We are going to come with weapons that will make this go away very quickly. We should not be allowing it. Rioting is against the law. This is not peaceful protesting. This is not right that people should have to live within this insanely declining culture that is spiraling our whole entire nation into carelessness and disregard, and totally making us all think that this is normal and that this is all right, and that there's no need for alarm, when this has been an alarm. The alarm has been sounding for years now. I mean, you have 90-year-old people being beat in the face. You have death threats going on for those trying to do the right thing. And these people, no death threats. Nobody's going after these people that are saying all these death threats, that are saying, if you don't do the wrong thing, we're going to come kill you and burn down your house and rape your daughters. And it's happening. That's why, both parties are very on edge, because, the threats are becoming more and more relevant, and they shouldn't be tolerated. And these states are allowing more and more criminal activity. Selling drugs on the federal books is a criminal activity. Growing drugs is a criminal activity. And I don't care what anybody says. Us adults in this country should not be allowing drugs of any kind except those for health reasons alone. And even though some of those should be actually outlawed because they're being abused, and people, they really are not helping anybody. They're too addictive and too destructive to the mindset of a person. And if a drug is too destructive of a mindset on a person, they should not be taking this medication. But that's off the subject. The real subject here, and the real solution here, is, like I said before, accountability. And if we need to walk and make sure and account for what these blacks are doing within their communities, then we should be high on their heels on every single plateau of law and every single plateau of order that they are trying to allow to happen without feeling like we're being racist. We're just trying to make sure our communities are held to a standard that is not going to be destroyed because of the ignorance that others are having within their communities, within their states. This is the United States. It shouldn't be failing because people are allowing the societies within their states or their given counties to be totally destroyed by such filth and such I mean, This has become, like I said, an epidemic that people just continue to allow, and people are not taking it seriously. And it's a serious situation. People are getting killed on a daily basis. Kids are being raped. Women are being raped. Everything you can imagine is going on within the black community, and it's spilling over where other communities are having to worry about it. And they shouldn't have to worry about all this that is going on. All this that's going on is totally off the charts. It's totally out of order of what is really should be allowed, but they're still allowing it. And, until we get the problem solved, we're going to continue to have this problem. And it's on the grandest scale now, but it's going to be on an even grander scale in a couple of years. I mean, get with reality. The reality is, there's no more overlooking the dam. The dam is busted. The dam is busted. And people are, and the criminal activity is spilling over into all parts of society. And it's not fair for the rest of society to have to live, to be poor is one thing. To be poor and having to live scared to death that you're going to die of a stray bullet within your community, or that your sons and daughters are going to get hooked on methamphetamines or on crack. They shouldn't have to worry about this, but they are, because people are allowing it to happen. They're allowing this filth to happen, and it's not right that people are allowing such filth to happen within their communities. And you know what? We were taking damn good care of them when they were brought here, and now they're in more of a hellish mess than they've ever been, because they're not showing that they can take care of themselves without somebody overlooking what they're doing at all times. Because right now, that's what we're having to do. We're having to overlook everything they're doing to a T. I mean, to a damn T. They are so violent of a people that nobody is able to get along with them very long without being totally outlaw. It's totally being called a racist. And it's like, we're not racist. We care about these people. We want them to live good lives. And if we have to step in to make sure that their life is decent, then that's what we're going to have to do. And we're tired of waiting for their communities to get with the program and quit trying to be, quit trying to say they care for their communities when their communities are going to hell every day. Their community is going to hell every day. They are being totally raped and pillaged, and they're being used as a pawn, because people are trying to just get their vote. They don't care. They don't care about the towns. They don't care about the cities that they've been living in. They just care about one thing and one thing only, and that is the money. They care about the money. There are greedy people that are just taking the money out of the hands of the people they should be trying to put it into, but they're not. They're not. They're stealing from their own people and causing their own people harm because they will not. They are showing total disregard for the law and for the order, and they're showing total disregard for even their future, their own kids, their own people. They're showing total disregard. They don't care one bit about what's going on, and they don't care one bit about trying to straighten it out. They don't care. They're like, whatever. We'll just take it as it is. We don't care. We don't care that, people's, lives are being destroyed. People's, whole land and property are being totally annihilated. Because they definitely are being annihilated. They're being annihilated as we speak. People's houses getting broken into every single day, and nobody's caring. Nobody cares. Yeah, nobody's caring. Nobody cares that their house has been broken into. Nobody cares whether they, nobody cares whether they, eat. These kids in these communities, you see them walking down the street, their hair's all a mess. They haven't eaten in days. Their mom and dad's hooked on crack, methamphetamines. And our cities are looking like, San Francisco, ran by a black mayor, is being totally decimated. It's just totally freaking decimated. How bad we are allowing our great nation's monuments, how great our memorials, how great our states, and how great of a place that our grandfathers built is being destroyed by ignorance and by those who lack integrity and lack the self-will to do what is right. And lacking the strength of God to control their behaviors. And to praise such filth as rap music shows you the depravity of the people that are running these states. We are in a decline, not of our doing, but of people that can't get on board and do the right thing. Everywhere they go, they find a way to fuck up, excuse my French, fuck up the job they got. Just went the other day, couldn't even get the black man that was put in charge of the job to do his job. He had to go get a white person. Why do you hire these people if they can't do their damn job? That's where we're at. We're just hiring these people and they don't even know what the hell they're doing. And we see it every day. And then why is it every day that I do something or I go somewhere and I have to be helped by a black that it always turns into some rigmarole? It always turns into something way worse than what it should have been. Because they are taught and brought up to continue to be a living hell to the white. to whites. And that is wrong. That is racist. But they are doing it. They are telling them to do this in their churches. Their churches are only there to do one thing, and that is to breed more racism within their communities, which I call it a silent racism, in the sense that you will never see them talk or walk in a way that you would be able to see it, but you know in your mind what is going on. We're not dumb. Nobody's dumb to these facts. And until we get ourselves right, we are going to continue to be in such a depravity as what we're in right now, which is not good for anybody. We're all suffering in this world that has been given over to people that don't know how to do the right thing. They don't want to do the right thing. They don't care to do the right thing. Why do the right thing when you can just do the wrong thing and still get paid and not get fired, and you won't lose your job? Why? I mean, it's very easy why. Because if you don't lose your job, but you can still be shitty as hell to people, it makes perfect sense to continue to be like you are. To continue to be a nuisance to society. Because your nuisance will never be called out. You know that nothing you do will ever be said nothing about. Your bad behavior will never be said. Nothing will be said about it. I'm just saying, people, we need to get over the hump. We need to put our foot in the ground and say, hell no, we're not doing this. We're not going to this level. We're not going to this place anymore. This place is not going to be where we're going to, we're just not doing it anymore. We're not giving your communities no more money until you start showing some kind of integrity. If you continue stealing money and continue to cheat people and steal from people and break into houses and sell drugs and sell crack in your communities, and we're not seeing anything cleaned up, guess what? We're not going to allow you to continue. We will start to bring people in to look over every book that you have, every book, every piece of crime that's being committed within your communities, and if you don't get it solved, then we will take and put in another person. We will take and put in someone who can do the right thing. And if that be a white, then a white. If it's a black, then give it to the black. But quit this pettiness of trying to make out like these problems don't exist. These problems are existing. They're becoming more and more intolerable. And it's in a lot of things. A lot of things are becoming a total wreck because we are allowing others that don't have the rule of law in their vocabulary. They don't want the rule of law in their vocabulary. They want to rule with thugs and with intimidation and without good, good people that are uplifting the community. They don't want to uplift the community. They want the community to be in hell, to live in a hellish way. And it is not fair that we continue to allow these people to exist and not be accountable for the such depravity that they're leaving their people in. Their people are being left in such depravity, in such a way that nobody should be tolerating it at this point. Nobody should be allowing it at this point. Nobody should be giving in to what they're saying anymore. Because what they're saying is not truth. It's not about the people in those communities anymore. It's just about how much money can we steal and how many lives can we destroy and how much money and greed can we get. It's like I said, it's not this whole entire this whole entire 30 or 40 years has been totally has put many communities into a hellish way. It's not fair to even those living in those communities, much less the ones that are continuing to allow it to happen in their communities. I mean, we are totally in free fall, and we know it. And as I've said before, like this podcast says, this is an epidemic, and who is going to take care of it? And who is going to kick this can where it needs to go in the right direction instead of into total failure and total destruction? Because right now, these communities are in total destruction. They are in a total free fall. And nobody is doing anything to make sure that the good people of these black communities are taken care of. The children are so out of control because of the rap music that is attributed to them thinking that the only way to live is to be a thug, to be a drug dealer, to sell crack to their community, and they will be praised and looked at as an awesome person, an awesome part of society. And in reality, all they become is another check that we have to mail every year to the federal penitentiaries that are holding them. And that's another thing. I'm going to talk more about this, but the federal penitentiaries are totally in disregard of what is going on either. I mean, they're not even raising the alarm of how many people are being black people are being incarcerated because the communities they're coming out of are so in disrepair. Like I said, we need to take a step back. We need to breathe, and we need to go into this thing full-heartedly, knowing that these communities are totally out of control. And the only way to bring back control is through bringing in the National Guard, bringing in federal agents into all these places, and making sure that the books and what is going on is being taken care of in the correct manner. I thank you. I said my piece. I'm going to say some more about this on another podcast. I hope you're listening. I hope you're enjoying. And I hope that this will reach those that want to see this decline, and also see the end of rap and the end of this musical era that is causing so much destruction within these communities. I thank you. Have a great one, and we'll be back later. Thank you again for listening to the Proud of It podcast. Have a great one.